Hello everyone, and welcome to Tuesdays with Grace. My name is Amanda, and today I'm going to be using Quilt Motion automation and Quilter's Creative Touch software in a unique way to create a Halloween advent calendar. This is a fun project for any Halloween fan or just to have around the house, so you can have treats and prizes inside little pockets for each day of the month of October. Okay. So what I've done to create this advent calendar is I've sewn strips of blocks. So just some 6.5 by 6.5 squares. And occasionally I have made some blocks. So I've got a bat here, I've got a ghost and a pumpkin. But for most of them, I've just left plain fabric that I'm going to stitch QCT designs, and I've created designs that have a little picture on it and a number for each of the days of the week. So the blocks I'm going to leave blank, and you can just assume what number it is, but in any of the fabric squares, it's going to have the actual number and a little design. To make it even, I've got a big square for the first day of the month and also a really big one for the last day of the month that's just going to say Happy Halloween. So what I have set up here is just some batting on a Quilter's Evolution hoop frame, but I have it in rolling rail mode. So the Evolution frame can be a hoop frame, so you can quilt any size quilt, or it can be a rolling rail frame for small projects. And this is a nice small project that you can use in rolling rail mode. Okay. So I've got one strip laid out just on this batting, and I'm going to tack down the edges. I've lowered my SPI, set it to 7, just a little bit smaller to get the edges. Pull up my bobbin, go up the top. Try and stay close to the edges, but don't go off. And I found it's a little bit tricky to go right to left, so I'm going to pull up my bobbin and go up to the other side. So now I can open up QCT and place my designs. There we go. Give it some space and click OK. Okay, so I'm just placing block designs, so I'm going to use Select and Sew. And I'm going to need to set my safe area. So I can do it up. I'm going to want to give myself plenty of space, especially since I might not get each of the, if I want to sew each of the strips right after the other, they might not get perfectly down. So it's best to give yourself a good amount of safe area. Okay. I put all of these Halloween designs in a folder called Halloween Advent Calendar. And if you don't have QCT and you still want to try this project, I'm going to provide these designs as a print that you can print off, and you can use Pounce or you can follow with a laser. There's a lot of different ways that you could try and do this project. Okay. So to start with, I need to find my October 1st design. Open that up. Okay. Now all I need to do is place these gray nodes. So click this one. It just helps to go around in a circle. I made all of these designs in Pattern CAD. I just had to figure out how to connect everything, but there'll be a few trim lines to get the center of the O and the B and the E. I'm okay with that for this project, but it will take some time. Click Quilt. You can see here where the cyan lines are, that's where it's going to stop and trim. So I can get close to where it's going to start. It doesn't need to be exact to do a single stitch and pull up my bobbin. And I can click sew. Okay. Because I have the trim line, I'm going to need to click Move to Next. And don't worry about how it's decided to move. It just makes its own decision. Another thing that you can do if you don't want it to stop at the trim lines is there is a setting that you can use to turn it off. I want to recommend it if you have a bunch of long lines in between rows, but for something like this, it can be helpful so it doesn't take as much time. So you can go up to Settings, and there's this box next to Pause at Trim Lines. You can tap that, and it won't stop, it'll just continue sewing. We can click Move to Next. And sew to get it started. See, it moved by itself to the next spot. Okay, so I'm finished with this one. I can click Finished and cut my threads. Okay, and now I can click Select Pattern, find my next design is this 2, open, and I can place this one. One thing I noticed about placing this first design is it did go up a little bit higher than I wanted. I can fix that with QCT by adding some margin. Okay. So down here we have the margins, and it's locked currently. We want to keep it locked so that it changes the margin by the same amount on each side. And I'm just going to click these arrows in, and I'm going to add a 1/4 inch for my seam allowance. Okay. So I can click move up to close to where it starts. Let's pull up my bobbin and click Quilt. And then sew. Okay, I'm going to stitch out the other 2 designs on this strip, and then I'm going to show you what to do next over on the Little Rebel. So now I'm at the Little Rebel, and I'm going to add the binding and backing to this strip of fabric all at the same time. I'm going to flip this over so that I can get right sides together on this backing fabric. And then I'm just going to stitch all the way around it. Then I'll cut a hole and flip it inside out. Then I can use some heat and bond to seal up that hole, and it'll just be like you didn't see it. cut my threads, and now all I need to do is cut a hole and then flip it inside out. Peel back, make sure I'm just getting the backing here. Pinch it, cut a slit. Oh, I also need to make sure that I cut these corners so that they will fit in when I turn it inside out. Okay. Stuff it out there. I might need to make it a little bit bigger so I can fit my whole hand through. Doesn't really matter because it's going to be inside the pocket and we're going to seal it up. Okay, I can use a pencil to get all the way in the corners. Okay. So this is what it looks like now. I'm going to do the same thing with the quilt sandwich that I'm going to put this pocket on. Okay. So I've got a big quilt sandwich here, except that I've got 2 layers of I've got a backing and a quilt top, and then the batting on the outside, so I need to flip it inside out just like I did the strip here. So I'm going to do it in this corner here. Pull it away, make sure I just have the 1 layer, and then I can cut a nice big hole. And this is going to be on the inside too, so it doesn't really matter what it looks like. And you'll notice I've already cut off the corners. Let's start all the way in this corner, grab it and pull it out. have this out here, and I'm gonna go and put some heat and bond on the two holes, and then I'll be back here and I'll show you how to sew on the pocket. Okay, I'm back and I'm ready to stitch this top strip up at the top and make all of the little pockets here. So I'm going to use the little rebels and start in this corner here. Push it down. And go. Okay. To the corner. And start stitching this down. Okay. So now I've reached this corner and I can turn it so that I can go up the pocket and then back down. So turn it, go up. Lift the foot and turn it again, all the way around and come back down. Then I can keep going. Okay, I have this top row finished, and you can see I've got little pockets that I can stuff with candy or toys or other treats, or maybe even some tricks. And I'm going to finish up the rest of these so I can show you later. In the meantime, thank you for watching Tuesdays with Grace. Don't forget to follow us on social media, Facebook and Instagram and even TikTok. And I hope to see you soon. Okay, I'm back and I am so excited to show you my finished Halloween Advent calendar. I am so happy with how it turned out, but I did learn a few things as I was making it that you can use when you make your own Advent calendar to help it out just a little bit. The first thing is when I was using the Quilt Motion and QCT, I realized I had the 4-point placement set to stretch instead of to fit. If you switch it to fit, then the design will keep the same proportions and it won't stretch out as much because this too is a little bit too stretched out. But I learned to switch it so the rest of them are a little bit more proportional. Another thing I learned is you may want a little bit of seam allowance on each of the edges of this. You can do that in QCT by adding some margins to your placement. So you can set the margin to about 1/4 inch so you have some seam allowance, especially on these edge blocks. Another thing I learned is that when I started from the top and just stitched the rows down, because I wanted to overlap each of the rows a little bit to make my pockets, it ended up not filling the whole backing. So what I did was I started from the bottom and worked my way to the top and pinned each of the rows in place onto the backing. That showed me how much extra I had at the top, and it left me a little bit of room to fold over and stitch this little loop that I could stick a dowel through, and it makes it really nice to hang up and have on the wall. But you don't want to stitch from the bottom up because you do want it to overlap. So after sewing the loop over, you'll start at the top and stitch each of the pockets, working from the top all the way to the bottom. I am so happy with how this turned out, and I would love to see you all try it as well. If you do try it, share it with us on social media at Grace Company on either Facebook or Instagram. Thank you all for joining us at Grace Company, and I look forward to seeing you next week on Tuesdays with Grace.